All right, hello everyone, and welcome to our third stream of the day. So, very, very busy in the Blue Tit Bash today. So, this game we have is coming from Group A of the Blue Tit Bash. So, this is our latest tournament on the tournament's Discord server. We begin with a group stage with 16 groups, and then the top 3 from each group is going to go through into a knockout round. So, as I said, this is from Group A, and here today we have Maggie and Roger will be facing off against each other. And joining me as my co-host today, I have got Gracklin Oat Brandt. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. How are you?
Excellent. I'm doing very well. I'm looking forward to this match. As I said, we had a couple of really good, really close matches earlier today. So hopefully, I'm sure this one will follow suit as well. So yeah, we have done the coin flip, and Roger is going to be going first. So, Roger, if you can get the invite ready and send that one over to Maggie, then we can get this game started. So, as always, best of luck to both of our players in this match. And here we go.
Oh, there's a raven in the tray already.
Is there a raven in the tray? There is indeed a raven in the tray. So,
yeah.
Here we go. That's always interesting and will certainly be a factor in the starting hand. So yeah, probably not a whole lot to keep, but obviously that raven's going to be picked up pretty quickly, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That other duck, the puron osculado, I forget its English name, but it's usually quite a good bird. Probably a little less good with the raven because you've already got that egg engine. So I wonder, yeah, but I mean, probably doesn't hurt. I guess you're using a lot of eggs to feed the raven,
right.
So
Yeah. And it does help as well, obviously, with this first and around goal with the cavity nest. So yeah, I think probably the wetland bird is probably what Roger is going to be looking for. Obviously, we know the raven. Once he is able to get that down in the second round, then the food and the eggs are going to be all flowing his way, but it's all going to be about getting that card draw. So yeah, it looks like potentially the Golden Knight and the Snowy Owl, so obviously getting the extra bonus card as well. But might be difficult, I guess. He's got to make sure he's got the food for that raven once you start round 2.
No real forest options, unless you could take the hermit thrush and sort of force it down, but yeah, and it does satisfy the end of round as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, but definitely, and yeah, I guess you have the cherry in the tray as well. But of course you have to take the. Oh, it'll probably still be there. Definitely. Yeah, it seems like he's going for the hermit thrush after all.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, I think like you, it didn't immediately stand out to me, but like you say, there is the cherry, so I think there's every chance of that still being there. On the second turn after taking the raven, and that star nest, it is going to help for 3 of the end of round goals at least. So I think it's a decent option to help get that little bit of food at the start. But yeah, Roger kind of going back and forth, changing their minds.
Yeah.
So yeah, it certainly is a tricky start. I think this not obvious really what should be kept.
Yeah, it's the double-edged sword of the raven.
Absolutely.
You know you're going to get to play it, but then your whole game kind of has to get shaken up a little bit to accommodate it.
Yeah, and it comes up all the time on these streams. We get a raven, and you've got to work out what you're going to do with that first round to not feel like you're dragging yourself back too much. You want to be productive, you want to be scoring points, getting resources. But in the back of your mind, you are going to be thinking, right, I need to try and work out how I'm going to get this raven down to set me up nicely in round 2. But yeah, here we go. We have Maggie starting hand, and probably more promising, I think, from the birds, at least in the starting hand. Obviously, food should be fairly easy to get hold of with some good forest options here.
Yeah, no, I definitely a very strong forest. Yeah, I wonder, so, if you take 2 of these birds, I guess the Kirky Vulture, interesting. Yeah, I mean, that helps with the end of round for sure.
Yep.
And and you can afford it right away. So Yeah, that's an interesting choice. I wonder if they'll go for the I'm blanking on the name, but is it the spoonbill? The bird that lets very decisive from Maggie.
No messing about.
Not
No
not
messing
much time
about
to deliberate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess
certainly,
it works as a wetland bird.
Yeah, I don't mind the vulture. I think you're right. It's good for the end of round. It doesn't cost any food, so you can get that down straight away, and hopefully start drawing cards. I mean, it does go in the wetland. It's not amazing. Obviously, the power is going to maybe get a bit of food, but it's not going to help the card generation. But I think just having something there is better than nothing. And I wonder maybe the oyster catcher might be a good option for either player, just to at least get some cards at the start of this game.
Yeah, no. I think it's definitely good for both of them. Although I guess for Roger, if Roger's playing already a bird in the wetland, it might be a little bit of a hard sell, especially given the need to save some food for the raven. So
right.
Yeah, that might be all Maggie's.
Yeah, and I think certainly.
Oh, okay.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah. Okay. Now, in this situation, I wonder if Roger will take the oyster catcher out of spite, knowing that Maggie's has two of those worms.
Yeah, it's one of those where you see what your opponent's just done and grab those two worms. You can probably see what's happening here. But yeah, I think for Maggie, it's going to be oyster catcher all the way here. Get some cards, and I mean, it still functions as that wetland bird, so you can lay some eggs on it and start drawing cards. So yeah. certainly a bold start and not one that I saw coming.
Yeah, no. Also, Tuck and Cash is in the chat and is agreeing with you on the boldness. Also mentioned that maybe would have made sense to keep the chickadee. Yeah, it is slower though.
It is
slower.
I did wonder. I thought the chickadee, for the end of round goal as well, it's quite nice. And I think it's a really good second forest bird. If you have something like the grosbeak that gets you extra food, and then a chickadee that gets you some points. If you can get 3 food and a cached food for that point every time you go to the forest, I think that's a really good start. So
it's extremely strong.
Yeah, I certainly would have considered the nuthatch, but it certainly would have slowed things down a little bit. But here we go with the oyster catcher.
Oh, okay.
Not bad, bad at all.
It's good, although it leaves Roger with a pretty nice pick as well. I guess the warbler, right? Well, yeah, the warbler's actually not so great for Roger, I suppose, because the raven is coming. There's no way for Maggie to know that, but
yeah. Well, I think certainly the moorhen with a raven is a really nice pickup. I think the food for that is not going to be a problem at all.
Right, that's a great point.
Again, the star nest helps with the end of round goals, and the moorhen is one of these new bird powers in the European expansion, so it lets you discard food and play extra birds. And I think when you're running raven, you always have lots and lots of food left over. So certainly seems sensible to be able to turn that into potentially some extra wetland birds.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's one of those new birds that I haven't quite found occasion to play yet, but it's a little bit of a tricky one. I guess it's been more of a less hen for me, but
yes, absolutely.
Anyway.
But yeah, I think the hummingbird here I think is really nice for Maggie. I think it's it's going to help get things set up a little bit more quickly here, and I think they were quite smart in the choosing of those birds. I think they wanted both the hummingbird and the warbler, but there was always a bit of a risk if they took the warbler first that the hummingbird was going to be gone. So they took the hummingbird, they've now got the warbler, and I think I think they'll probably look to lay eggs and try and get this warbler down as that second forest bird, which I think works pretty nicely here.
Yep. No, I think she's off to a fantastic start.
Yep, certainly feels that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see kind of if Roger is going to go for the grebe in the tray. So that's again one of these new European expansion birds, really good for generating extra cards. And I think again, when you've got a raven, eggs and food are never the problem. It's always about getting the right card draw. So potentially maybe something they might look at. But again, if they've got this moorhen already in their hand that they know they're going to look to get down into this second round, then that feels like a really strong option for them.
Yeah, Tuck and Cash makes the very good point that the free food is really helping Roger out now.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if is it possible to infer for Maggie to infer that Roger might have a raven, given sort of the hoarding of rats?
Well, I mean, it was in the tray, so
Of course, yes,
it was
yes.
visible for all to
Right.
see. So it is one of
Yeah,
those.
yeah,
But
yeah,
like you
yeah.
say, I think it's one of those things where if you know what your
Right.
opponent is doing and how they're setting up,
Yeah.
I think it is going to affect your decision making a little bit. But
So then, yeah, I guess like Maggie's making a deliberate choice for sort of efficiency and speed on their part over kind of that denial strategy. And I wonder, yeah, I feel like that's a very interesting sort of strategic kind of
Right.
branching point.
yeah, I mean, I think the way that Maggie is kind of setting this up, I don't think they're going to be relying on the hummingbird. So I think sometimes you do see a player might
Right.
spam a hummingbird against a raven, but with the forest setup she's got, it certainly doesn't look that way. But here we go into round 2. Pretty nice
All right.
looking
Oh,
tray.
yes.
House finch right off the bat.
Very
Yeah,
nice tray.
I think that's pretty sensible. And again, with the forest she's got set up, I think getting the food for that and getting that down is going to be pretty straightforward. So
Right.
yeah, and obviously for Roger, pretty straightforward as well. Just get this raven down.
Yeah.
And
You-
yeah, I'll
Do
be
you pick up
interested to
that
see
headed
what's
crow?
added. Yeah, I was thinking that as well. It's as soon as you see, your opponent is going to start building up a really nice grasslands. I think this hooded crow, obviously the food, the bird power, you get to tuck cards based on how many times your opponent is activating their grasslands, and obviously with that, the raven in the grasslands, there's going to be lots of opportunities for tuck cards there. So. Yeah, I certainly would be looking at picking it up. I think it's a good option really if you're in Maggie's position.
Yeah. Takash also made the point that maybe picking up using the forest to pick up the finch might have made a little more sense there. Yeah.
Yeah, I did wonder that, and because obviously the problem for Maggie in that start of the second one was they didn't have any eggs. So to draw cards, you only get that single one. You can't discard for more. I think they'll look to lay eggs now. I imagine they'll be going for a re-roll and hoping they can get a seed to try and get this
there it is.
house finch down, and there we go. So they'll be very happy, and I imagine now it is going to be get this house finch down, try and lay some eggs, try and cycle through some of these cards and get something good to add to this.
Yeah, I guess maybe part of the rationale is maybe Maggie wants to save the swift, or the white the white. I don't know if it's a swift, but the tuck and lay.
Yeah.
Although for that probably need a few more, slightly stronger card generation engine.
Right,
So I'm not sure how much use that we'll see, but it is a huge point scoring bird.
It is. You're right. It's a very nice point scoring bird. I think if you do have a lot of cards, you're able to tuck. Obviously, get a point for the tuck and then a point for the egg as well, which is so good. But it relies on either obviously a gull or a killdeer is kind of the obvious pairing, but just a strong wetlands in general is going to help a lot for that kind of birds, and it's just not really there at the moment for Maggie. So I think they do have obviously the house finch. They'll be able to cycle through and maybe look to try and find some nice wetland birds, hopefully to improve the card draw. But for now, it is lacking a little bit with just that oyster catcher.
Yeah.
I think for Roger, I think he's been playing this second round pretty well. Added the burrowing owl into that grassland. So the bird power obviously not great with the hunting, but the star nest obviously going to help out a lot with these end of rounds, and it just helps generate a few extra eggs as well as the second grassland bird. And unsurprisingly, here we go. We have the moorhen down. So I'm quite excited. I think like you, I've not really had an opportunity to properly test this bird out. But this certainly feels like a really good opportunity to, see it used, hopefully to its full potential.
Yeah. So these remaining end of rounds. So I guess initially, I think Maggie was looking pretty good with sort of at least the third end of round and maybe the fourth. But I think it's going to be an interesting contest here with that moorhen as well.
It is.
I mean, you're discarding eggs with the ravens, so it might limit your ability to win these contests, even if you've got slightly larger capacity.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, Roger managed to take the first one, and Maggie couldn't qualify, and it seems like that's going to be the case here as well. Maggie unfortunately doesn't have the yeah, it doesn't have any of those platform nests, and Roger can just have a single egg there and win. But yeah, I think you're right. You know, the third and the fourth potentially looking stronger for Maggie, but I think if Roger can at least just qualify, I think if you win the first two, you can kind of take a little bit of a backseat and not worry too much about the other two. That's generally my approach. I think you win the first two and you feel pretty safe there.
Yeah.
Difficult decisions here. I think for Maggie, obviously the loon is very nice, and I think if you see your opponent with the moorhen, you know they're going to build up a lot of birds in that wetland. So obviously the loon, it lets the player with the fewest wetland birds draw an extra card. So I think if Maggie can feel pretty certain about being the only player to have the fewest, then you can hopefully get some extra cards with that.
Makes sense. Tuck and Kesh makes the point that they're playing very quickly.
They are indeed.
It's a bit of a struggle to speak and keep up with all the action here. This is a very action-packed game.
It is. Yeah, and certainly I think once Roger starts using this moorhen, he's going to be hammering some birds down quicker than we can keep up with it. So will be very interesting to see kind of what he prioritizes and what he tries to get down. But looks like he's kind of gone for the food for this catbird. So I imagine is that going to be going in the grasses, do you think, and going for that extra food and trying to?
I think so.
Yeah, because obviously this moorhen is going to need food, and now he's managed to grab this common swift.
Right.
You can get extra worms there and discard those at the end of the round and get tuck cards for points. So that feels very very nice for Roger.
Yeah, no, I mean, converting those 2 eggs into 4 points, especially if you're already going to max out on eggs. I mean, that might not happen in this game, but still, you're winning in that equation. So
absolutely, yeah. I think the catbird and the swift in the grasslands is going to be very very nice, and then it's just all about trying to get some wetland birds. Unfortunately, doesn't really have a huge amount of options in the hand at the moment, but just maybe you dig from the deck and see what you can find, or just hope maybe at the round end, at the start of that 4th round, you get something nice that appears for you. But I think catbird here, absolutely, that makes sense. I like this play from Roger. It looks like, I think Maggie on their last turn, they did. Yep, the loon has gone down, so I think they did need that. The card draw is a little bit weak, so this will help a little bit and get a few more cards, and then I think they can go back to using that finch. Mockingbird's a good.
It does seem like I do wonder, if that is it the white-throated swift, the tuck and lay bird.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's still sort of casting a shadow over the game a little bit. There's a strong need to get enough cards to eventually capitalize on that, but maybe more turns laying eggs or gaining food.
Right.
But I mean, it's such a good bird, so
it is. I think Maggie was probably keeping hold of it just to kind of wait and see. Maybe something good comes up as a good wetland option, or like I said, to generate cards elsewhere. But I think now picking up that mockingbird, I think that makes a nice option to go in that grasslands. I think you get that down, you start copying this house finch, you're getting more card cycle, you're getting more points through the tuck cards as well. So I would not be surprised if Maggie gets this down as soon as possible and really can maximize on the tucking cards there.
Great. Do you think we'll see a late game immediate pivot to Mute Swan?
It's interesting. I think potentially. I think the way that Roger has set this up with the food, he can go for cards and get this down, and I think it's a pretty good option. I think Mute Swan works very well in this kind of scenario because he's going to want to go for cards to play some birds through the moorhen, but also if you can have the Mute Swan there, you're going to score points at the same time. So here we go. It looks like it is going to go down, and this is going to be very very nice to see.
Boy.
Here we go.
I think it probably needs an egg lay first to build up some extra food, but maybe that merganser, the Serreta Grande.
I can certainly see that going down. And you play that, you get a few points, and then you do some tuck cards as well through the Mute Swan, you get some more points. So this is going to be this is going to be a really nice point scoring option, I think, in the wetlands here for Roger, and just adding to the points that they're getting through these eggs, obviously, through their grasslands. Some of them are getting discarded for food, but this certainly feels like a very nice setup that they've got going in this wetlands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's funny with some of these newer tucking birds in EE, like you really can pivot kind of late.
I think so.
And because you suddenly have an engine with one card.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Mutes one. I think for that reason, it's one of those where I think sometimes you don't want to add these brown powers in your wetlands too late. Like you say, it feels a little bit too late to go for that because you can't score that many points. But with the Mutes one, you can get 3 points a turn, and I think certainly with this Moorhen as well, if you get 3 points through tucking and then you get some additional points through playing birds, that is going to be such a huge point scoring option there in the wetlands, and feels very nice. Okay, White-throated Swift going down. There we go.
All right, here we
has
go.
gone. So I did wonder. For this. Yeah, I thought maybe Maggie was going to go for the Mockingbird, but she's instead gone for the Swainson's Hawk and the Swift. And I think that's a very, very nice grasslands. It's going to score a lot of points, maybe some extra ones through the Swainson's Hawk as well. So Maggie's in this luxurious position. She gets to go first in the final round, and you get the pick of the tray. So I think she'll be patient, wait and see what comes up in that tray, and hopefully go for cards, find a nice big point bird to hopefully get down in this last round.
Right. Maybe an eagle.
Exactly. An eagle.
Yeah.
I think puffin, anything like that. Something big points. Something to try and hopefully maybe get a bonus card or something like that. But that's what really you're going to be looking for in this position.
Right. Yeah. So it does seem like Maggie, as Tekken Cash just mentioned, is now in a pretty good position to win these last two end of rounds, and
absolutely.
that is very helpful, I think.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, if you just look at the eggs, it's 5. Is that 5 eggs a turn for Maggie, and then obviously Roger, if he's copying that Raven, that's only 2 eggs. So it is going to be a lot more difficult, I think, as he's found out, to try and compete for this. But good work, I think, for Maggie to bring this one back.
Yeah, interesting. So I guess there was a decision to tuck the slightly higher point value sort of rodent-eating bird, I guess in favor of playing the Cerulean Warbler. I guess it has more egg slots.
Yep.
She already has one of the 2 foods needed. Very likely to get. Yeah,
there you go.
Got it.
Yeah,
so
very nice.
Yeah, that makes sense, I think.
Yeah, I think again, if you get a shot at a bonus card, I think that's always nice to go for in the final round. But here we go. This is the Swift kind of coming in really nicely for Roger, getting those 4 tuck cards, and then again getting another cash through this crow. So this feels like it could be a pretty close game as we go into the final rounds. I honestly don't know which way this is going to go.
Right. Yeah. Maybe folks sound off in the chat. I don't know if we can make a poll.
I am getting up a poll as we speak, so hopefully our viewers can tune in. By the time I get it up, the game's done.
By the time people have voted, it's going to be over. So
this is speed play at its finest. I've never seen anything quite like this. Very impressive the way these guys are making decisions so quickly. So
Maybe you could have a speed run, record, but just for tournament matches.
Just for tournament matches, yeah. I think this would probably break whatever record we might have. So, good to see. But I did wonder. I wondered
Taking
if
the goal.
I think that could work.
I mean,
it feels late. It feels late, but if you think about it, it's going to help for this end of round, get that 5th grassland bird out. So you're guaranteed to at least tie, which is always good.
Yeah.
And if it saves you a turn having to draw cards by getting this goal down, then you can spend more turns laying eggs and getting the tuck cards and the points. I don't mind it. I think it actually could work here.
Yeah. It's I mean, you're getting basically 6 points off of it and still have the opportunity to play the Warbler.
Yeah.
Because you get 2 turns to gain more food. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And the food isn't even well, I guess the food's benefiting Roger a decent amount, actually. Yeah,
I think the way you can look at it is probably, I mean, you'd imagine that every food it's probably going to be a worm, or if it's not a worm, then Roger can use the Raven to get a worm instead of whatever food they needed. So I think every food is probably going to be worth a point to Roger. But I mean, you kind of look at the food they're generating. I think they've probably got their eye on this Avocet in the tray. You know, again, if they can go for cards and play that, but also get the tucks on the Mute Swan, I think that's would be a really nice play for them. But I believe they had the Ecologist bonus card from the start.
I see.
Although again, it was in Spanish, so I might be way off the mark. But I think getting this double play to there we go, to maximize on that feels very smart. But they might still have enough turns here. I think particularly again with this catbird being able to copy the Raven, they can get so much extra food. And again, any spare worms, they'll just get turned into tuck cards through the Swift. So it feels like a very kind of natural turn progression to be going for here. Definitely.
So the poll, while we have time to analyze the results, people are quite evenly split.
Absolutely.
50-50 when I last checked. When I voted.
Yeah. It does certainly seem like it's going to be a really close one. I think you look at the two engines and they're very, very different. So obviously Maggie's getting lots of points through laying eggs and getting the tuck cards and the extra eggs through the White's Throat Swift. But the way Roger's got this set up, it's not huge point scoring in the grasslands. A lot of eggs getting discarded for food. It's going to be more through obviously the bonus cards that he's got and those big point birds he got down in the forest. But I really think he does kind of need to try and go for this wetland play, try and get the big point Avocet down and also the tuck cards, because again at the moment the point generation in that grasslands is just not really there at the moment.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So the Warbler gets tucked.
I'm feeling like Maggie's in a much better position than I thought. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think for Maggie, I was wondering, does she have the egg space to kind of just lay eggs for the rest of the game? I thought maybe that Warbler was going to go down, but I think she's worked this out almost perfectly. You lay eggs, you can get the extra tucks, and by being able to skip this hummingbird, it's just again denying those extra food and potentially denying points from Roger here. So I think this has been really good late game planning, and I always like to see this a very smooth, well run final round, and not have extra cards or extra food left over, as it feels like it's going to be the case. Yeah.
0 egg slots.
Absolutely.
It's perfect.
I think it's the dream. So feels very, very, very slick, I think, here for Maggie, and maybe one final hunt. There we go on the Swainson's Hawk. So very
excellent,
very nice. So I mean, I know Roger gave us a little bit of a kind of preview of their score a few turns ago. I've not seen what Maggie's scoring, and I don't feel confident enough to go and try and add up all these points as we stand. Right. So it kind of looks like for Roger, he's just trying to maximize on these eggs and looking like maximizing on the worms as well for the Swift. So I do feel like there was a bit of a missed opportunity in not using this moorhen or this swan. I mean, the swan has not been used at all. Let's bear that in mind. There's not been any tucks, so that is a bit of a shame. I think there could have been more usage there, but all these tuck cards through the Swift, and again another rodent cached on the Crow is very, very nice. And we go into the score. So I honestly don't know. I think maybe Maggie has just edged it, but again, you kind of see already here the bird points and the bonus cards so much stronger, and the end of rounds. But I think Maggie's got so many more eggs and tuck cards, so this is going to be really tight, I think. Ooh, okay. Oh. It was not quite as close as we thought in the end, but a very good win in the end for Roger, who takes it 100 points to 87. So, man, I'm out of breath. That was so fast paced and hard to keep up with, but very, very impressive. And again, two very good scores. Very impressive play as well. I think like we said, Maggie kind of set up that grassland so nicely and was able to get lots of eggs and tuck cards, but unfortunately in the end was not quite enough to catch up. But good good performance nonetheless. So I will bring our two players back into the room just for a couple of words. So first we will go to Roger. So congratulations for winning that
Thank
game.
you.
Good performance. Yeah. How do you think that game went from your perspective?
Yeah, I think the Raven at the beginning it is extremely strong. It was just luck. I mean, if you got the Raven at the start, you can go develop the wetlands, and it is not even a match. It is so unfair for me. I mean, it was the Raven. It wasn't me the one who played the match. It's true.
I think that's a lot of humility, but I think you still
you
have to
played
use
well.
it. You still have to play well. I think we've had streams like this before where people have a Raven and aren't able to find the birds to go with it that work nicely. I think particularly the Swift to turn those extra worms was very, very nice. So I think you're being hard on yourself. It was a good performance, but. Yeah, I'll come now to Maggie. I mean, I have to say, I think you played that very well as well. The end game in particular felt really slick with the eggs and all those tuck cards. Felt very, very nice. But
Thank you.
Unfortunately, not quite enough in the end. But yeah, what are your thoughts on how that game went for you?
Well, I was a bit impatient at the start of the game with the card draws. I feel like if I'd maybe drawn cards a few more times, then I might have found something better than the yellow-rumped warbler, which I only activated twice. But beyond that, I mean, it's hard coming up against when your opponent is a Trey Raven and
of course
plays as well as Roger did anyway. So
yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I think you performed well, given you against the Raven. I think using the hummingbird was nice, and obviously the housefinch helped as well in the grass, and lots of tuck cards and the good card cycle as well. So yeah, I think in the end it just seems like it was from the point breakdown, it was all about the big point birds and the bonus cards for Roger. I think that was probably where the difference was there. But yeah, like I said,
I'm frustrated with my diet specialist.
Yeah.
I only needed two birds and I only got one.
I think that's quite a nice bonus card. So I think
Right.
there was a bit of misfortune there, not being able to, like you say, you just need a second bird and you get 3 points. And, and normally the birds that meet the diet specialist are always going to be big point birds as well. So
Sorry, but another thing for me that was a point breaker was the bonus rounds. All eggs in different nests, and I was lucky to have a star nest. So with that, it was I think it was a difference there.
Yes.
Also.
Yes. Yeah. I think the burrowing owl that helped for sure. You managed to get the first 2 end of rounds with the star nest. So whenever you can get a lead from the 2 end of round goals in the first 2 rounds, it's very nice. But that was a very, very entertaining match. A very, very quick match. I think both me and Grackle and Brant we're a little bit short of breath after that one. But very impressive play and very quick play. So thank you for joining us, both players. Very, very good game. And of course, thank you to my co-host Grackle and Brant for joining me today.
Yeah. Thank you.
And of course, thank you to the viewers for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed that game as much as I did. So yeah, if you are not part of the Tournaments Discord, please do come and join us. You can take part in tournaments like this. But also we have some more live streams coming up this week, so do check out the events section to see all of those. But for now, take care, and we will see you on the next live stream.